Hi everyone, I'm Heather. Welcome to Strings and Threads, streaming to you from my dungeon of dreams. Join me in the magical world of crochet, knitting, and all things yarn. If you're a fellow yarn enthusiast, hit that subscribe button and become part of our creative journey. Let's dive into today's project. This is the video tutorial for the cup cozy, and I love this stitch so much. I just did a tutorial for a shawl that uses this same stitch, and I thought I need to use it again in something else. So I'm using it here for the cup cozy. If you, I have it tied. If you wanted it tied, I believe if you want to just sew it shut, you can just do that, but I have it tied just for easy on and off because I didn't want this to be permanent. So I'll let you know what you need and how to do it. Welcome to the Cup Cozy. I'm going to talk to you first about what materials you're going to need. And I would recommend using cotton yarn. This is a mixture of cotton and acrylic. This is Annie's Kit Club. And you'll want two contrasting colors. I had these colors available and they were from the same company, so I thought that they would work well together. And I'm really excited. I'm going to be making the cup cozy for my cup that I take to work with me. By the way, if you see any name brands, I'm not affiliated with anything, not the yarn, not the cup. I am just simply making using the yarn I have and making it for the cup that I have. You'll need scissors. I'm going to use a longer hook, but you could probably get away with using a regular crochet hook because it doesn't take up a lot of space. And what I'm using for this is a 5.5 millimeter eye. I like to start with an I cord because it keeps a nice clear edge. You are also welcome to start with chains. If you start with chains, you would just chain the same amount that I'm going to do for the I cord. And how much you chain may vary depending on the cup that you're using. My thought with this cup is that I'm going to make something to go across here, and then it just ties over here. It ties to be attached. And so I'm going to start with 11 stitches because I measured that beforehand. If you want to get the cup that you're making this for and adjust to the size that you would like, that's fine. I'm going to start with this gray color. You can start with whatever color you want. To make an I cord, you're not going to put your slip stitch right at the end like you normally would. You're going to leave a bit of a tail, and then you're going to put your slip stitch into somewhere in the middle here. I know in the middle is kind of vague, so let me show you how this looks. I have about this much of a tail, and this is probably a little bit too much. I always go a little bit overboard because I don't like running out. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to have the side that is the tail go to the left, and the side that's attached to the rest of the yarn go to the right. So you're going to go take the left side and just place it over to the right. You're going to take the right side, go over that one to the other side, and you're going to just draw it through both stitches here. We'll go over this again. So that's one. So put your tail again to the left, and your yarn that's attached over to the right. You're going to take the tail and bring it over to the right. You're going to take the attached yarn and bring it over on top, but you're just going to use that. You're not going to like wrap it around or anything. You're just going to grab onto that yarn that's attached and draw it through the two hooks or the two loops, and that's two. So take the tail and go to the right take the attached yarn and put it on top, but that's the yarn that you're going to use to go through the 2 loops. And that's 3. I'll do one more with you. I have this time stamped in my description, so if you would like to see it more, you can always go back to my description and click on this and watch it again. Now, if you don't like to start with an I-cord, see, I like how clear of an edge it has. You are welcome to do a chain here instead. So you would just chain 11 or whatever number you think is the right amount. Okay, so I put the tail over to the right. I'm going to bring the attached yarn over in front and just draw it through both loops. Okay, I'm going to pause here and finish my 11. You do the same thing either by chain or by I-cord, and then we'll come back. All right, here's how it looks with my 11. So now I just want to be careful not to pull from the tail. The tail will weave in or take care of later. But you're going to go into the first stitch and draw up a loop. You just keep that loop on the hook. Go into the next stitch and then draw up a loop. Go into the next stitch and draw up a loop. And we're just going to do that all the way across, and then we'll count the stitches so that we're on the same wavelength. If you've used different stitches, it's not going to match up with mine, but if you've done 11 like I have, then we should have the same number of loops on the hook. I did my I-cord a little tight apparently, so you're probably going to beat me to the end. Okay, I'm at the end now. We'll count and make sure that you have the same number of loops. It should be the same number of loops that you did stitches for the I-cord or for the chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I did 11 I-cord stitches and I ended up with 11 stitches to put on. This is called a forward pass because you're going this way. Now we're going to do a return pass because we're going this way. All right, now going back this way is called the return pass. So what we're going to do for the return pass, we're going to yarn over and just go through 1 loop. And then this will always be what we do at the end. I'm going to make that a little looser. What we do at the end, we always, for the first return pass stitch, we always just yarn over and go through 1. For the rest, we're going to yarn over and go through 2. Yarn over, 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 go through 2. Now here's where we're going to do the color change. I'm going to do this, show this on the return pass, return pass, and then we'll start the forward pass with the new color. So you're going to leave a bit of a tail because you don't want this to come undone. You're going to just kind of make a loop, have a little bit of a tail, and you're going to put the loop through your crochet hook and go through the last 2 stitches. And then later on in the project, oops, that didn't go through. Later on in the project, you're going to weave in that end. Okay, now for this forward pass, it's going to look a little bit different than the initial one. We're going to, sorry, I'm going to tighten that a little bit. If you look, there are bars. If you're familiar with double crochets, this almost looks like it could be a double crochet. Now the bars have a front loop and a back loop. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to hold on to that tail so we don't lose it. We're not going to go into this initial one on the end. This is just the edge right here. But we're going to go into the middle of that bar. Remember, there's a front and a back loop on that bar. Here's the back loop. I'm just going right in the middle of that one, right in the middle of the second one. And then I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to leave this first, for me it's a gray stitch, whatever your first color was that you used. Leave that on, and then you're going to pull the yarn through the second one. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go in between the bars on the next one and the next one. You're going to yarn over, and you're going to leave this first color on, and then change the second color. The next two, go in between the bar, yarn over, and just leave the first color on and go through the second one. We're going to do this again. Go through the middle of that bar and the middle of that bar, yarn over, leave the first one on, and then go through the second. Now you're going to end here with just one bar with this color, and it'll be that way every time we do this color. So this will be the repeat, and it'll look the same each time. So go through just the one bar, yarn over, and draw up a loop. And then when we come to the edge, to keep a nice edge, we're going to kind of do what you would do to make a single crochet, but we're not going to go all the way through. We're going to just go into the stitch and draw up a loop. And that's how that looks. Okay, we're going to do the return pass now, which is going to look exactly the same as we did it before. It's always going to be the same. You're going to yarn over and just go through the first stitch. And then for the rest of the way, you're going to yarn over and go through 2 stitches. Yarn over, go through 2. 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 Now at the end here, we're going to change color again. So you're going to go back to your original color. Be careful that you don't get the tail. You get the color that's attached, and then you're just going to pull through with the original color. In the description, I call this the second color forward pass, just because this is the second. It's your original color, yes, but it's the second time that we're doing it in this pattern. The first time we used this, it was just a regular forward pass. It wasn't anything special where you're mixing colors. So that's the reason why it's called second forward pass, or second color forward pass. So what's going to happen is we're going to do repeats. So what we just did with the white is going to be repeated, and then it repeats up to here. I'll go through it. I'm sorry, I don't want to confuse you more. So if you look on this one, we never go into this very first stitch, but the second stitch is the gray color. So we're going to match the colors here. So you're just going to go through one, just like we did over here, where we just went through the last one with just one. In this one, we're going to start with the first stitch as just having one. And the way that you can tell is because we're going to make a line of the same color. So this line will all be white, this line will all be gray, this line, other than the very first row that we got ourselves started with. So now we're going to go back to that go through 2. So go through the center of the first one, go through the center of the second one, yarn over, draw up a loop only with the same color, leave the other color, just stay on the hook. Go in through the middle of the next 2 bars, yarn over, leave this first color on, and just go through the second one. You can see how I've matched it up. It's gray line here, and then I went gray. Go through the first one, go through the second one, match your color, yarn over, just go through that end one and leave the other one on the crochet hook. Now here is where the end will always be the exception. We're going to go through 2 in this case because we went through 1 to start with. And then we're going to yarn over and go through just the 1 and leave the other one on. This last stitch for every row is going to be every other color. You can see that line is gray, that line's white, that line's gray. It's just the way this pattern works out. It's every other color until the very last one, then that one's going to be mix. So go into your end again and draw up a loop. Okay, now this return pass is going to look exactly like all the other return passes. You're going to yarn over and just go through 1, and then you yarn over, go through 2. We're going to change color again at the end. So yarn over, go through 2, 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 yarn over, go through 2. Oops, 1 through 3. I can fix this. There we go. Here's the 2. You know what? I'll have to go through there. There we go. You can see I have 2. Yarn over, go through 2. And then on this last one, we're going to yarn over with the other color that you're using and pull it through. Now, just a reminder for this row, we're not going to start with just 1, but we will end with just 1 bar. We'll go through the 2 bars and match up the color. You can see how the white goes with the white, and then just leave the gray on. So the way this will work, and you can use the description. In the description, I have a timestamp. This is the way I called it. When we did the first color change, that's what I considered the white, when we first used the white. So we're going to do first color change, forward pass, first color change, chain return pass, second color forward pass, second color return pass, and then go back and start that whole process over again. So if you want to see this run through again, go back to the timestamp that's labeled first color change forward pass, and then repeat those 4 steps. Go back and do it again until it's the length that you want. So I'm going to keep going, probably going to have it be right about here, and then end probably like right about here, and then I'll do ties for it to attach. So just continue the length until it's as long as you want it to be, and then come back and I'll show you how to finish it. Okay, this is as long as I want mine to be. I'll let you know the length of mine. It is about 12 inches, which is like 30.5, maybe 31 centimeters. I didn't measure it to a specific length. I just saw how this would wrap around, and I didn't want it to meet totally because I'm going to put ties on it and then just tie it. But I'm ready to finish, so I'll show you how to finish, and then we'll do the ties in the next segment. So it doesn't matter which color you ended with, you can finish with either color. I did change color to do the finish. So what you're going to do is go into each of these bars individually. You always skip that the one that's right above the hook. You always skip that. So you're going to go between the stitches in the first bar. You can see how it's like a circle. You go in the middle, and then you pull a loop up, but then you slip stitch through. And you're gonna go in the middle of the next bar, which should be a different color, and you're gonna draw up a loop and then slip stitch. And you're gonna do the same thing for each of the bars across. You're gonna draw up a loop and slip stitch. Go in between the circle of the next bar, pull up a loop, slip stitch. Next, pull up a loop and slip stitch. Next, pull up a loop, slip stitch, pull up a loop, slip stitch. Now you don't have to change color. If you wanted the end to be the same color that you were working on, you know, you could do it that ending however you want. I like to switch color, kind of keep everything going with the pattern. And then when you come to the end, you're still going to go into that corner. You can see how that goes in. Pull up a loop and slip stitch. Now I'm going to cut a tail, pull it through, and then weave in the ends. And then I'll come back to show you how, oh, with your other color, you're going to do the same thing. Cut a little tail and then weave in the ends. And then when we come back, I'll show you how to do the ties. All right, so I cut, I'm going to use, for each tie, I'm going to do 4 total, 1 on each corner, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to have 2 strands, 1 of each color in each corner. So right here I have a total of 8 strands. And you can do it any length that you want. We are going to be folding them in half and tying them on. So this will be how long it's going to look once you have it on. And I'll show you how long I did mine, but of course you're welcome to do it any length that you want to do. So mine are about 15.5 inches, which is about 40 centimeters. So now that I have that cut, I'm going to have the front facing me. And I'm just going to put my hook through the corner stitch here. Fold this in half evenly. I don't think mine is even. Let me see. Oh, there we go. And you're going to pull where it's folded, pull both strands through, and then open up that circle and put the rest of it through the circle to make a knot, and then just pull. There you go. That's the first tie. So we're going to do that for all 4 corners, and then I'll show you how it looks done. All right, here it is. I just tied it right here, and I can carry it like this, and I just love how that looks. It just gives the mug a little extra something. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If so, please like, please subscribe. All of that is free, and you can check up on my other tutorials and all the things that are going on my channel. Have a great day. Bye.